So welcome everyone to this project. Here we are going to develop our own egg catcher game with the help of Python. Our basic requirements will be our tkinter and canvas. We will be just oscillating between these two to build our complete game. Now our game that we are building will be divided into two parts. The first will be developing all the functionality, means we will just develop every function that will be needed, and the next thing will be the designing, that we will assemble these functions together to just give us a great egg catcher game. So let's start with, in an egg catcher game, actually eggs falls from the sky and you need to just move your basket to catch them. Now there is a condition in moving the basket. Your basket can only move from left to right and from right to left, and egg will fall from upside. Now we can just change the speed about how the basket is moving, how the eggs are falling from the sky. Also there are some other things like when the egg touches the ground, we will lose some life, and by default we will have 3 lives. We can change it if we want. After this 3 lives is over, means 3 eggs have touched the ground, our game will get over. But if we are just continuously catching the eggs in our basket, we will have some scores, and that score will keep on increasing. Now to make it somewhat more difficult, what will happen that every time you will just catch the egg, the speed of the eggs will just increase tremendously. So the next egg will be faster than the previous one, and the next one after catching that will be more faster than the previous one, and in this manner the speed of the egg will increase at a moment that the person may lose. Now it is on his capability that how much he can tolerate and how he can move. So there is another thing, that we will be using our random functions to make the eggs fall. So there may be some luck also, that many people get a better higher score than the other one, but that doesn't make much effort. Now the last thing will be the designing, that after building the game we will just make everything to according to our control, like about the background color, how our scores and life will look like, what about the font, and how our basket will look like, its size and different things that will come in the designing part. Now first of all we will be using a tkinter library. Actually tkinter gives us the great tools to develop a graphical user interface. Now graphical user interface is the one which currently we are using, like everything is a graphical base. We can just click something, open it, and again turn it off. So that is a graphical base. But there is also a CUI based applications like command user interface. If you have seen command prompt on your Windows, that is an example of command user interface. But you just close down your command prompt and run with the Windows, that is a graphical user interface. So in today's development, graphical user interface is leading the market because it is easy to use. And to develop our own graphical user interface, the tkinter gives us all the libraries that we will be needed here. It works well with the many operating system, major operating system like Linux, Microsoft, Mac, and it comes by default with the Python. So we don't need to install it. It is just we need to import the library and it's all set. The tkinter starts with offering us an instance, that is a tk instance, and this tk instance is actually our interface, and with this interface we can design our application. So we will be going to use this tkinter interface to develop our game. The next thing comes is the canvas. When you are developing a game, actually there comes a lot of things about the design, that like how eggs will be designed in a oval shape, how basket will be designed, how many other things will look like, about the colors, and canvas gives us much more better features for designing purpose than compared to any other library. So it also comes by default with the tkinter, so we don't need to do anything, just import it and we are all set to develop our game. So we will be developing many things from the canvas. For example, the graphics of our game will be from the canvas only, and the move functions, how we are going to move the basket, how our eggs will move, will also come by default by the canvas. We will be using them. We will also designing our eggs and basket, what will be their color looks, how will be the font of the color will be there, like when you are displaying a score or displaying the just displaying the life that you are having. So how we are going to update them, that all comes with the canvas. I will tell you how you can just do plenty of things with the canvas and tkinter, and it's going to be an amazing project. So just keep watching the video to build your own egg catcher game. Thank you. So hello everyone, welcome to this project. In this project, we are going to build a game egg_catcher game. So actually this egg catcher game will be consisting of a basket and eggs will be falling from the sky. You need to catch those eggs, and if you are not able to catch the eggs, you are going to miss your life, and after a given amount of missing your life, you are going to get the game over title with your score. So this was all about the game, that how will be the game will go on. So let's start building this game. We will be building this game with some inbuilt libraries of the Python, and for building a GUI game, I think I found most of the best two libraries, that is the tkinter and the second one is the Pygame. So our first, we will be building this game using the tkinter, and after building this with the tkinter, I am going to give you some idea that how you can actually build it with the Pygame. So I find out tkinter to be more easier than the Pygame, and it's with it you can just be limited to your code and do everything that you want. So let's start building this game. First of all, we are going to import some libraries, and these libraries will help us to work with our game. So I am going to import cycle from the iter tools. Now second one, I am going to import a range function for deciding that when will be the eggs will be falling, because they should be random, not sequence wise or pattern wise, so that everyone can understand and just go on keep playing. Because if they are in a pattern, the game will not look interesting. So this was about the reason why we are actually importing this random function, and we want a function that is the random range function, so that it gives us a range on a given amount of intervals that we want, and it will give out a particular random number from those given range. Now this is the last library, that is the tkinter, and we are going to work with this library. So we will also need to import some many other things like the canvas. So canvas actually is help us to design the images. For example, if you want to design something, we will be designing our basket, we will be designing the background. So we need some tools to help that, and it will work from the canvas only. You can do that with it. So message box gives us the message which will be displaying when there is a game over, high score, and many more things. Font will be for helping us to use different fonts, and tk will be our basic library, so that with it we can actually design our GUI window. Now we are going to design some variables. See, these variables are designed. So I am assigning some values, random values to this variable, that is the canvas underscore width, and my width will be 850. It will design that how large my window will be. If you are not giving a width, then you can find it bit difficult to work, because you need to design so many shapes there, rectangle, oval, and when you don't know the particular width of your game, it will be difficult for you to give an exact idea that how large your rectangles and shapes will be. So we will be having a small window that is 500 to 850. It's with a medium large, enough to play. Now this was about that height and width. Now we will be just creating a window. So this is how we create a GUI window. It gives us the graphical window to the users. For example, you can see I am working with the Visual Studio Code, so I have a window here. Similarly, tkinter gives us a window to work with it. Now we also need to end this window, so I will be using main loop. What main loops does, it creates continuously infinitely time until you don't stop it by your own. Means this window, if I am not going to close it, it is just working again and again in an infinite loop. So here we are in this main loop is using an infinite loop until an event occurs, that is to close the window. So this was about how we are going to define a GUI window. This GUI window will not have anything. It will just have a title with it. So I am going to save it. Now after this, first we will run this. Let's see how it works. So it will give you a basic idea that how these things happen. Means how our window will look like, and we have given some default idea, but this will not work because we have not given a title to our TK, means TK will come or have its height and width by default. After defining the TK, we are going to do some canvas work, like we will be defining background, some shapes that will be needed here. So till that it's happening, we will just keep working. And I am calling my canvas variable here. So you can see this is a default tkinter window. It does not have anything, no background, no font. This is the default icons and the name that is given to it. And it has no different default. It is using its default height and width because we have not called these windows or this height and width that we have assigned to the variables. So this is a GUI window that is called here. I'm going to close it. After this, in canvas we are going to first give our window so that it is a parameter so that canvas will know where to work with it. Now we need to define the width, and our width will be canvas width that we have actually given. Now next thing, we are going to define the height. So height will also be canvas height that we have already defined. Now next will be the background. Actually background will be the background color that canvas will give us, and I am using a sky blue color here. You can use any color as per your choice which you find more better. Now my background is set. If you will again run it, it came again. Now we are going to define some shapes here. First we will create a rectangle. So create rectangle is a inbuilt function. It gives us how we can create a rectangle. I am giving my coordinates. I will explain you that how I am assigning these coordinates so that you may not find it difficult that actually what has happened. So these are my coordinates, that is canvas.height, canvas.width, and this will be +5. Second will be the, again we will be giving these coordinates, and it will be so +5. Okay, now we have assigned the 4 coordinates, that is this is x0, y0, this is x1, y1. Don't worry, I'm going to explain you how we are actually giving it. And now we will define a color for our shape. So our color will be green. Now this will be our color. Second, we are going to give width is equals to 0. Now I am going to use another shape here, and this will be a oval shape. Underscore oval. So this shape will create, actually it will create an oval here. So these will be the coordinates for the oval. Again it works with the same thing, x0, y0 and x1, y1. So here we go, and its color will be orange color. I am giving here orange color because I find it, I am actually trying to make a sun there, and I find sun to be of orange color. It looks more better. You can give yellow and try different colors as per your thing. Now we are going to pack it. See, if you are not going to pack your widgets or your shapes, then what will happen? They will not be visible to your game or to your GUI window. So now we are going to run it, and you can find it. We got the background color, we actually got the sun, and here is our rectangle. Now we will discuss that how we have given these shapes. Now first, these are the coordinates that we are using here. You can see the first coordinate was -5, and this is the y coordinate. So actually it starts with a point. Here you can see this point will be our x0, y0, and this point will be our x1, y1. So we have given our x0, y0 to be -5 and canvas height -100. So -5 will actually come here. So we are giving our x coordinate to be outside the GUI window. You can give it 0 and you will get the same effect. but the reason we are giving it outside the window, because when you will expand it, you can see that it actually, the rectangle shape actually, it overlarge, or you can say enlarge the background color. You cannot see a blue color here. But if I will make it 0, for example, let's see, we make this to be 0, what will happen now? Some background color will be visible to you. I will close it and run it again. Now if we try to expand it, okay, let's make one more thing. We will also make this height to be canvas height. And now if we run it, means we are not expanding our color. So you can find it, some blue colors here are visible. For example, if I will enlarge it, let's make it to full screen. So here is some blue color, if you are able to see it. And this blue color is because the height, that is, this is x0, y0, and this is x1, y1. So we have made our x1, y1 to be the same as the canvas height. Means this y1, the height of our rectangle will end at the height of the background color. So they overlap each other, and you find it that here is some blue color possible. So they just overlap each other, means you cannot see the background color and you can also see the background color. So to do it, we are just overlapping our coordinates. So now it will be again +5, and canvas height +5 means where the height of the canvas, and draw a rectangle at that y1 coordinate, and from a y0 coordinate where the height of the canvas is actually -5. So -5 is not visible to us, but it will overlap the background color, so that we cannot be able to see the background color. Now if you enlarge it, you can see a complete green color is visible to us. Similar was the effect of the sun, but here we are using it a different way. Actually, we have given the oval shape outside the -80, because this is our GUI window and we will not be able to see anything outside this canvas, since we are using a canvas to draw the rectangle and oval. So we are only able to just see a part of this sun. So here -80, -80 and 120, 120 are the coordinates that how our sun will be visible. Since our most of the sun is outside the window, we are only able to see the part of it. So here is the -120 and +120 and +120, and here outside will be -80 and -80. So that part is not visible, and we can only see a 1/4 of the part. So that's it in this lecture. Here we have defined our shapes and the background color, that how our window will look like. In this window we are going to play our game. So meet you in the next video, and then we will start building our game. So welcome back to the video. We have designed some backgrounds and some shapes in the previous lecture. Now in this lecture we are going to define all the parameters that we will be needed for our game. For example, how our eggs will look like, their colors, their size. We will be having some lives. We have a score parameter so that it will be running. All these things will be for that we are going to define functions, and for functions we need some variables. So in this video we are going to define all the variables that we will be needed. So first of all, when you will run the program, you can see that in our game we have only the background color. So actually our basic idea about the game is that here one will be the basket that will catch the eggs, and the second will be the eggs will be falling from the sky. So from here eggs will fall, but to make it a bit more interesting or to looks good, attractive, we will be giving some colors to the eggs. And again, those colors can be in cycle, because no one cares about that in which color actually the eggs are falling. So we can make them into a cycle. So here our function will be color cycle. Now we need to define some colors that we want in a cyclic manner. For example, we will be using a cycle function for this. This cycle function iterates over the colors to define different colors in a random or the cyclic manner. Now our first color will be light blue. You can choose any random color according to your choice that you like. I have just chosen some colors that would be looks great. So second color will be the light green. Now next color will be the light pink. Then again a new color will be the light yellow. So these are some basic colors that we usually see in our day-to-day life. and I am just taking them, and the next color will be the light cyan. So here our color cycle is completed, and we have defined many colors that will be our eggs will look like. Second thing, we need to define the width of the egg. So here we go with the egg width. This variable will actually define the egg width, and we are going to give the width 45. Now the next thing comes the egg height. Our eggs will be in a cyclic manner and oval shape. So we are defining some shapes for it, like width is equals to 45, height is equals to 55, so that we can use them afterwards. Now we need to define a new variable, that is egg score. We will be using it when we will be building our functions to run our game. Now we also need to define a variable that at what speed actually they are falling. For example, we can make that to be much faster, to be much slower. This time I'm taking them to be simple or average, means it is not very fast, but yeah, anyone can complete it. Now the next thing will be the egg interval. Actually this interval defines that in which interval the eggs are falling, and this will be the 4000. Now next things, we need to define the difficulty. So our difficulty will be 0.95. When I will put it in the into the function, then you will able to understand that how or why we are taking in different parameters, like some is 0.95, some is 4000. Now we have worked with the eggs. This time comes the catcher. So this catcher or this basket will on which the eggs will fall, actually they will after that disappear, and if they fall on the ground, then also they will disappear. So we are working with the catcher, and we will give a catcher color. So our catcher color will be blue. Now next thing comes is the catcher width. So catcher width, or our catcher, that is the basket that we are going to make, will be a shape of a semicircle, means it will be a circle and a semicircle. It will looks like a complete basket, but we are defining some complexity so that we can use them easily. Second comes the catcher height. So this will be the height of the catcher, and it's going to be again 100 because it's a semicircle. So here width and height will be the same. Second variable will be the catcher start x. So this variable actually defines that at which position, means our catcher or the basket will going to start, means what are the initial positions we are using. So this time we will give not a random position of x like 100, 200, but a position that will be based on the canvas width and canvas catcher height. So why we are actually giving it in this form, so that in future if we change the height or width of any of the following, means whether it's a catcher or a canvas, that is the GUI window that we have created, we don't need to change the initial position. If you have given like 150, now you have made your canvas screen or width to be 2000, so it will go to the bottom right or bottom left. So so we are checking that that thing may not happen. That's why we have given it in the variable form. Now with x you need to define the y-axis also. So we are going to define catcher start y, and this will be also in the same manner, that is the variable form, and those variables will depend on the height of the canvas and the catcher. So this is equals to catcher. Actually I have designed these heights or the catcher height and the width, this formula that I am using, based on the accuracy that how they will look afterwards. So if you like, you can change it according to your convenience, that whichever way you find it more better. Now always remember that we need to define two things. I can just copy it. The first one is the x0 and y0, and the second one is the x1 and y1. So here we have defined the x1 and y1 position. Now in the next phase we are going to define the x1 and y1. So this will be start x1 and this will be start y1. So here our data will change. Now it will be catcher and start x. So we are just taking the initial start of the catcher, and this will be the catcher width. So from where the catcher has actually started plus add its width, so that will be our final x1, or you can say the ending coordinates of the starting position. Now this will be also same for the catcher start y1 start y plus catcher height. So in this there's nothing good that we have done. We have just taken the original height and x and y coordinate and just added the width and height of the catcher, so that at the position it may find it properly or fit properly there. Now second thing, we need to create our catcher variable. So we are going to create the catcher, you may call it a basket also, with the canvas. So our canvas variable was the C, and we will use that with a create function, and this will be arc. Arc actually is like a semicolon, semicircle, but you can just see the spaces in the between the semicircle, so it looks like a semi-sphere, not a semicircle. And you can just look over that some empty space is present there, so it looks like a 3D object instead of a 2D object. So we will initialize our parameters, and our parameters were start x and start y. These were the initial parameters that we have created. Next parameter will be the x1 and x2 that we have created. So it will be start x1, then catcher start y1. So these were the 4 x0 y0 and x1 y1 coordinates that we have given. Now second thing, we need to define the start variable, and start variable will be 200, and next comes the extent. The extent will be 140, and after this comes the style. So style will be the arc. We have just defined the variables, but there are so many style possible here. If you can look over it, then style is actually something inbuilt that defines it more to be an arc. Now we also need to define an outline. Outline will be the catcher color, which we have defined earlier. It's always better to define your variables at the beginning instead of defining them in the functions, so that if you want to change anything, you don't need to change the function, but all you can do is directly go to your variables and change them. So you will have a complete effect over your game. So this was a catcher that we have defined. Now we will be defining some game font, that in which font it will be displayed here. You can use any font like Arial, or there are so many font available. You can just call them. I am using a basic font that is for the game font, and this font is coming with the tkinter only, that at the starting I have shown you. So we will be using name to font function, so that it may just recognize the name. Here comes okay. Now so font is a library that we have imported, and now name to font is its function, which takes the name to define the variable or the font that we are giving. You can give any font that you actually wanted. I am giving a TK fixed font. This is a by default font of a tkinter. Since I am using a tkinter library, so it's better to give a tkinter font only. Now here we need to also define our size, and our size will be defined by the configuration. In this we need to give the size variable, and its variable will be 10. After we have designed the catcher, we have defined the variables, we have defined some eggs. Now we need to also define the score and the lives. So our score, to define the score, I am initializing it as to be 0, because from the beginning of the game your score will be 0. Now we need to define our score text, that in which text it will be visible to us. So again we will calling our canvas variable C and using a create function. Now inside this create function, first I am going to define where my initial parameters will be, that where our text will lie. Now then I will give a anchor will be NW. Second font is equals to game font that we have already defined. So we will be working with that font only. Now after this we need to give a color. So I am giving a color that is dark blue. You can give any color of your choice. After dark blue, I am going to define the text. So our text will be the score. Actually, this text will be visible to us when we will be defining that what we want at that moment, plus str score. So always take care that you, whenever you write a numerical function like a score, convert it into str, because Python by default takes the str only. And if you are converting any variable, that is a score value, to your taking that variable to your variable that you have defined somewhere else, you need to convert it back to the int to take it, because Python by default always accepts the string value. Now we have defined with the score, we need to define the lives. So our lives will variable will be lives remaining, because it will be from bottom up approach, that is maximum to minimum or descending order. Now we need to define the text area, that was just a variable that we have defined. So our text will be lives text, and we will again go with the same manner, that is canvas variable create function. Then we need to define it or give the width. So first we are going to canvas width -10. Here it will be visible. Then 10 means it will go from -10 to 10. After this we need to define our anchor. So our anchor will be NE. Anchor is basically a function which defines the position that you are actually using for your game. For example, this NE and NW are nothing but the northwest and northeast, that is the sign where you are actually taking them. Now we need to define the font. So our font will be the game underscore font, that is we previously defined it, because we need to take them multiple times, so it's better to define at a one place and you can just call back whenever you want. Now the color will be the dark blue, that is the same as for the score. Next come the text that we want to be displayed. So our text will be the lives, and after this the variable that actually we are taking, that is str, and here it goes lives remaining. So this was about the str. We also need to define a list here, and this list will just take care about the x, so that we can know the change of the x. So these were the parameters that we have actually defined. I don't find it that it will bring any change to our function, because we have not given a variable here. Okay, unknown function outline. Where is the okay, there is some extra word written over the outline. Yeah, L is missing. Okay, now we will save it and run it. So in the next video, what we are going to do, we are just going to define yeah, we just missed that. We are just not going to create anything, we are going to create a text, and you need to define the canvas that what actually you are using or writing. So this will fix the issue. Okay, K was missing here, dark blue. Yeah. So in the next function, next video, I'm going to explain you that how we are going to make our functions. So you can see that nothing just changed here. What I got is a simple arc, and this arc is actually my basket that I will be using to catch the eggs. Here I got some text value, because I have defined this text or initialized them, like score was 0 and lives was 3, but nothing much will happen, because we need to call the function to make this GUI window to be dynamic, means eggs will be falling. We will be using cursors or keyboards to run the value, so that to do that we need some functions to be called here. Now let's see in the next video that how we are going to do that. Thank you. In the last video, we have completed the interface part, and we have also made our GUI window in the beginning. Now the next thing comes up to use this data that we have defined here and make functions. So we will be making different functions as per our requirement. Now all our requirement is, if we run our game, then there are some parts left that we need to discuss here, and we will also discuss that what is left and what we need to make. So we were having previously the window, that is here the window, its height and width was defined. Second thing, we have defined so many variables, and that time we have not discussed about that why we are using this parameter. So we are also going to discuss about the parameter, that which parameter we are using. Now if you see, we want many things here. First, that eggs should fall here and they should end till here. We need to define the shapes of the eggs also, because we have not defined the starting, because we don't want a particular shape to be here. For example, I don't want that at the beginning or before starting the game only they should be here by default. So we need to make those shapes in the function only. When they will be called to fall, the function will create them, and after that we need to destroy when they reach the end. Also we need to connect these two text area that we have made, that is the score and the lives here, because if they will not get updated, then we will not be able to come to know that at which position our game is running. So let's start doing all this. First we will be defining our function for the creation of the eggs. We have already defined the global list here, which will make a record that which eggs were created and which to be destroyed. Now we will call our function, that is define create underscore egg. Now after this, I'm going to run a loop that for egg in eggs. So this function or this loop actually going to get all the coordinates of the eggs that is there. For example, I will define 4 coordinates here. These will be the x0 and y0, x1 and y1. So all these 4 coordinates I want to be on my position, because I need to work with them. Okay, so before entering into the loop, we also need to create the function, because our list is empty. So if we try to run this, we will not get our particular value. So we will come back, and first we will make and append this list. Then we will work on that how we can actually delete them. So I want a random function, that is x is equals to rand range. So this was the function that we have already imported, and our random range will be from 10 to, let's say it will be 830. Okay, the reason I have not taken the complete range, that is 0 to 850, because we have defined our width 850, so it can go from 0 to 850. I don't want my egg to be falling from the border position. Means you can say this is my border, and I don't want to it fall from here or from these borders, because if they will fall from here, half of their portion or the most of the portion will become invisible to us. So we need to take care that they are inside the one, and if falling at the corner is also not looks good, because we want to be at the center of our basket, and our basket could not go outside the screen. So our basket will be till here at this point, so it will not go beyond it. Then we don't want that our egg should fall on the edge of the basket. So this is the reason why we are taking the range from 10 to 830. Now after this, we will be defining a variable y is equals to 40. If you would see that why we have defined the 40, because our height was 500. Now again taking the same reason, that we want that it should fall from a certain height. For example, not at this beginning, like here again at the edge of the screen, but to be some below it. So we will define it from here. If you will not define a 40, or again we will run a random range function to take the 40, then these coordinates will become somewhat undisturbed. Means egg would not fall, but it will appear at the bottom of the screen, at the middle of the screen, at the corner of the screen, because random range can go anywhere. So we want only a random function for x coordinate, but our y coordinate should remain constant, so that we know, okay, it's falling from the top. If you make it also random range, then it may just start appearing from anywhere on the screen. We need to take care that it falls. Now we have defined the variables here, those are the x and y coordinates. Now this time we need to define our eggs. We need to make some eggs here. So what we are going to do, we are going to create a shape like last time we have created a shape oval and rectangle for the sun. This time we will be creating it for the x. Now our parameters will be x and y that we have already made, and next parameter will be, this is just to complete it because you need to give a complete coordinate for your parameters, like this is x and y. So initial position would be the x. Now the logic goes that if something is some shape is started from the 0, then it will end where the shapes end. So our ending coordinate will be the width, that width of the egg. So here it goes that starting point will be the x, that is the initial point, and the ending point will be the width of that shape, so egg width. So it's just we are fulfilling the parameter in the manner it should be given, and we are just giving it that it has started from a certain height and it will end to a height where actually its height ends. So there is nothing so new here. So our y1 will be the height from where it has started, and egg height will where it had height actually ends. So this was about the fill. Now we need to fill different color. You cannot just take a simple color because that will not look attractive. So we have defined a color cycle here. So we will take this variable and just keep oscillating between the different colors from 0 to last, and our width will be 0. So this will help us in creating a new egg. Now we need to append this into our list that we have actually created. So we will be using our append function, and in append we just need to create our variable that is new egg. So we have created it. Now again a new thing comes. If you would go upward, we have defined some variable that doesn't look good, that was the 4000. When you use the function that is time.sleep or many Python functions, they take the value in seconds. But when you work with the tkinter or with any GUI application window, you will find that they don't work in the seconds because working in a second make you some bit slow. In game it should work in a millisecond. So this is a unit for the 4000 milliseconds. Means 4000 milliseconds, it means 4 seconds. So every egg should fall after 4 seconds of the previous one. In that time we will have the time that whenever our egg fall, we can just go to the egg, catch it and come to the new egg. So this 4-second interval help us in going moving right and left. That's why we have given it 4000 milliseconds. Now we will just understanding all the parameters, that why we are using it in different units, that is thousands and hundreds. So all we need to do is root that use a function after function. After function actually help us to rerun the function again and again. So it will just takes first parameter, that is the interval. Our interval was 4000 seconds. It means that root the variable tk window that we have created, it should create another or call another function, not egg, but it should call another function, that is the create eggs, and this function should be called after this interval. So this is how does this after function actually work. So it continuously calls different functions. Now this create eggs will call itself after 4 seconds. You can change this timing, and if you want to play some bit more harder, you can make it just 2 seconds or 3 seconds, and if you want to slow it down, you can make it 5 seconds or 7 seconds. Now next function is that we have just created the eggs, but our eggs will not go anywhere. Means they will be created and they will not disappear. They will just be lifting here at the screen only. Means if an egg is created at this position, it will remain here only. After some time it will again be created here but remain here only, and in few seconds, like 4 to 20 seconds, there will be so many eggs here, and sometimes they may overlap each other. So this was just to create an egg. Now second function comes, that is to define the movement of the eggs. Means we need to give them some motion. So our function will be define move egg, and to do that we just need a for loop here, because whatever eggs are in our list, we need to work with them. So we are not concerned about the creation, but we are just concerned about how we are going to move those eggs. So I am defining here 4 variable, that is the four coordinates, I want it to be in my four variables x0, y0 and x1, y1. So my variables will be egg x1 and egg y2. So these were the four variables that we have taken. Now we will assign some value here, and we are going to assign the actual coordinates of those eggs. So here we have all the four coordinates of the egg that we have created, because every egg will have a new coordinate. So we need to change these variables and make them or store those coordinates to some particular position. Now coming down, we will use a function that is c dot move, and after this we are going to give a movement to the eggs. So our parameters will be the egg, that is the coordinate of the eggs, and that is not the coordinate but the egg that we have created. We want to move it, and we are giving it 0 and 10 as a parameter. Now if this egg that we have created, if this y2 coordinate, because our shape has two parameters, that is x0 and y0 and x1 and y1. So this should be y1, and when y1 or the last part of the coordinate reaches the bottom of the screen, means it is not compulsory that egg y only should touch the screen, but actually if even egg y touches the egg y1 touches the screen or the bottom of the screen, we are out, because after that our egg will be broken and we are not able to catch the egg. So here we are not talking about the basket, but we are talking that if we miss the egg and it hits the ground, so the moment it hit the ground, we need to delete it. And to do that, we just need a simple if statement here, that is if egg y1 is greater than the height that we have given of the canvas, means as soon as its bottom part of the egg touches the bottom part of the screen, we need to call another function to delete it, and that function will be egg underscore dropped. And this function will have a egg as a parameter, because there are so many eggs, so we cannot just delete any egg by calling. Now again the same thing happens here. We just need a root here to call this function again and again. So we will be using root dot after, and our parameter will be the egg speed, and next will be the move underscore eggs. So here the egg speed that we have defined here, you can see it was this variable that we have defined, it was 500. So here 500 is actually the unit of the 500 milliseconds that we have given. It means in every 0.5 seconds you can just consider that our egg will move downward or it will just move further. Okay, so this was about how we are taking the egg speed, but this function actually makes the egg move. So it was having a length or width, that is the first starting initial point will be 0, the second point will be the 10, and after every 0.5 seconds this function will be called, and whenever this function will be called, it will not move the egg, but it will actually reposition it 10 units further. So if you are here at this 10 unit, you will just move 10 unit more downward, and this is why we are using a c dot move. Actually it don't move, means it will not crawl like from here to it will go downward, but it will just reappear. So after 0.5 seconds it will be a 10 unit below, and due to the time and small movement error, you will find it that it is actually crawling, but that is not crawling, that is just reappearing on different positions, and that reappearance, this move function help us with that. So it will remain there only at 0th position, but it will move 10 position y downward. So this is the meaning of this parameter that we gave here. Now this was about the move eggs. Second things, we need to delete the eggs that we have actually deleted. So we need to define a function, a new function, that is define egg underscore dropped. So this function actually deletes the egg that we want to delete. So our will be the egg, and we will just remove the eggs from our list, because that is working in our list only. So as soon as it is removed from our list, it means it will not move anywhere, and no new egg means this create egg will not interfere with the dropped egg. But if it is removed, the movement of this egg is stopped, because the only those eggs moves which were having a move function and which were present in the list. So if it is removed from the list, it will not move further. After that, we need to delete it from the canvas, meaning we have first removed it from the list so that it may not move, but now we need to remove the shape also, because shape will remain there only. So we have removed, that is, sorry, it will not be remove for list only, it will be delete. So we will be using here c.delete. So c function will actually delete it. Now after this, we need to define another function, because our life that was 3, that is working in a descending order from 3 to 1 0. So we need to make it 1 lesser from the previous value. So we will call a new function, that is loser life, because there is only one life, one text area where life is written. So we don't need to give anything as a parameter, we can directly call it. Now we also need to take care that if lives remaining is not 0, because if you will just subtract it, make it -1, -1, -1, it can go up to minus infinity. We don't want to make that happen. So we need to give a message. Here we will give the message using a message box, and it will show what it will give us some info, that is about the game over. So here we will get the information that our game has now ended, and after making our game end, we also need to show them the final score. So this is how every game works, means it tells you about the game over, also about the final score that you was having, and our final score will be nothing but a variable, that is the score that we were taking care with a str. So here we get our score. Now we also need to do some other thing, like if you have shown some message, your game will not stop, it will just keep running. And the reason is because everything, your root window that you have created, that is your tk window, which is tk instance, which has a variable inside the root, it remains there only. And if this variable is there only, it will keep running, because our main loop is still working. So we need to interfere this main loop, and to give an interference here, we need to destroy that. So all we need to use an inbuilt function, that is the root.destroy, so that it will destroy our instance, and now it will not work. So this is our destroy, and here we have defined how will our game end. After this, we will define a new variable, that is a new function, that is a lose a life. So lose underscore a life. This will be our new function, and what it will do, it will just use a variable that is global, and our variable that we have given was lives remaining, and bring a change in this variable. So lives underscore remaining is equals to lives underscore remaining -1. So it will just bring a change of that value, that is the live remaining variable that we have made, to a -1. But it will not give an impact to the tk window, because we need to update that tk window in which our text area was given. So if you can see, we have given a text area, that is this lives remaining c.create text, and now to change this create text, we need a new function, that is the configuration. And this will be a different from the configuration that we have used here, because we want a dynamic configuration. So we want item configure. So item configure actually changes the configuration of the previously given configuration. So our previously given configuration was lives text, and this was the text area that we have made. We just need to update this text area, that is text is equals to lives, and now we need to add a s the new value of the variable that is lives remaining. So here we go with the lives remaining. So what it will do, it will just reconfigure this lives text while the program will be running, and update this text area with this new value, that is the lives and text remaining. Okay, so if our value will get updated, it will look a bit changed because we have not given a colon and slash. Now this text is actually the same as the previous text, so no one can identify that actually that text area is changed to this text area. So this is how we have defined many functions, like the movement of the eggs, how eggs will drop and how eggs will created, how our lives will get affected. Now many more functions are left, like working with the scores, how catcher will actually work. So all this we are going to discuss in the next video. So welcome back, guys. We have defined all the required functions for the eggs, means how they will move, how they will be created in the window, how they will be dropping in the window, and how we will lose the life if they drop down at the bottom. Now this was about the egg, but next few functions are left, and those will be related to the catcher, that how we are going to catch those, how we are going to update the score, and similar different functions. We also need to make functions to give the movements, because we cannot control the catcher. We are only created the eggs and we have only created the catcher. So after creating the catcher, we need to give movements to our keyboard, that how we can use a keyboard command to actually move our catcher. To do that, we need to define first a function, and we will be defining a function that is catch. After this, we need to give the variable coordinates, or take the variable coordinates like we have taken for the eggs. You can check upside that we have created a arc that was catcher here. So we will be taking the coordinates of this catcher for our purpose. So we will be taking catcher. So first coordinate will be x, then second coordinate will be y, then a new coordinate will be x1, and then a new coordinate will be y1. So x0, y0, and x1, y1, these are our coordinates. We are taking these coordinates because it will be a bit difficult to just extract all the coordinates from for loops or using different while loops from this egg variable. So this egg is actually a variable that we will be giving as a parameter to this coordinates. Now coming back to the possible, okay, so this will not be the catch egg actually, because we are searching the coordinates for the catcher, so it will be a catcher. So now if catcher will move any position, our coordinates will get updated, like catcher x, catcher y, and with these coordinates, the main logic behind using these coordinates or extracting these values, that we can sum up or make equations for ourselves, that if the x and y coordinates are changing with respect to x and y coordinates of the eggs, then how we are going to add the score, how we are going to make the disappearance for the eggs, because we need to remove them when they are in the catcher. So these coordinates will help us to actually calculate that how things are getting changes. Now we will be running our loop, and we will be running loop for the list eggs. So for egg in eggs, now here we need to define the coordinates for the eggs also, because we need to sum up the coordinates for the y and for the x. So first we will go egg x, then egg y, then comes the egg x1, then comes egg y1. So we have taken the coordinates, and we will use the similar function to extract coordinates of the eggs. So here we get the coordinates of the egg. Now we will make a equation so that we will check that whether the egg is actually inside the catcher or not. If it is outside, okay, then we don't need to do anything. Egg drop function will actually take care of that. But if it is inside the catcher, then what are the conditions to make that, okay, now we need to make the things disappear, and now we are not counting the eggs that have fallen into the catcher. So first we will check that the coordinate of the eggs, that is egg x and egg x1, is actually inside a catcher. So if you wanted to say that in this list there is somewhere a star or too many stars, then if this is list is actually a box and these stars is inside it, so all we need to just check that the x coordinate of this star, x naught coordinate, is greater than the x naught coordinate of this bracket, and the x1 coordinate of these stars are actually smaller than the x1 coordinate of the catcher. So this is how we are going to do, just comparing the x naught and x1 value of the catcher and x. We are going to make that whether these values are, whether the egg is actually inside or not. So first, the catcher x should be smaller than the catcher egg x. So the x coordinate of the x naught coordinate of the x should be greater than the x naught coordinate of the catcher. It means okay, it is inside. Now we are checking the right hand side limit. If x1 coordinate of the catcher is actually greater than the x1 coordinate of the eggs. So this is for the right hand side limit, that okay, now eggs are between the x0 and x1 of the catcher. So here we have defined a limit. We also need to take care of the height. So for height, we are not comparing the y1 and y2 because we don't need to check whether it's actually inside of the catcher. We can just assume that okay, if half of the portion has also touched the catcher and the height of the eggs, then our egg is actually inside the catcher and we may proceed, because it takes 0.5 seconds to get the drop down and we are in so hurry that we cannot just wait, okay, egg will completely be down inside the catcher and then we will compute. So we will just make a limit. For example, catcher y2, that is the bottommost part of bottommost y coordinate of the catcher and the bottommost y coordinate of the y. Okay, this is the y1 and their difference is equals to or is smaller than say 35. So if their difference is smaller than 35, we can assume that okay, egg is inside the catcher. It may be sometimes above the catcher, sometimes below the catcher. That is not our worry. And if it is inside, then we can proceed. Because the reason we are giving a height is also sometimes people just hit the egg when the egg is just going to touch the bottom. So that time our catcher actually overlaps the eggs. So it may be between our mean value, that is the 35, means if it is of 5 units above the ground also, we can consider it is inside the catcher. And if it is just 5 units below the catcher also, we can consider it is inside the catcher. So this is the reason we are taking a constant value. Now all we need to do is again the same that we have done in the drop down. We will remove from the egg, that particular egg from the eggs if it has actually worked, and then we will delete it because now we don't want it on our GUI screen. So we are going to delete the egg, the shape egg that we have made from the canvas. Now we need to define a formula for that is for the increase score, and it will be have a egg score as its parameter that we have earlier defined. So we have already defined the egg score here. Here we have defined our score, and if we will go upside, we have defined our egg score also. So it means that egg score is actually 10, means every time our egg will fall, increase score will be the amount of the egg score, that is the 10 unit. You can increase or decrease it. For example, if you will make 5, then reaching a high score is a bit difficult. And if you will just make it 20, reaching high score is more easier. All we need to do just a last statement, that is root after, means after every particular interval, that is after every 100 millisecond, or you can say 0.1 seconds, we need to again run the function. So in 0.1 second, if different functions have worked, for example, it is so much faster that before move function would have worked, that is egg speed was 500 milliseconds, or the create egg function would have worked, which speed was 4 seconds. we would have destroyed or the egg or delete the egg from our GUI screen. So this is a couple of sufficient seconds that will work, so that it may work faster than the move egg and the new egg function, so that we have the time to catch the egg, to remove the egg, work with the calculation part, because our compiler needs to work with the calculation part, and after calculating again update the screen. So next is actually we need to call the function again. So our function will be catch. Okay, so we are done with the catch. Now one more function is left, that is the increase in score. So we need to define the increase underscore score, and its parameter will be a point that we have given, and that is 10, but we have not made it default because we can change it if we want. So this time we need to take some global variables. Global variable means if your variable is other than list, then if you declare it here, it will not change the value of that variable outside the function. So if I change my value of score inside the function without writing the global, it will not give an effect on the global the score variable that was this we have written upside. So we need to just use a function that is the global also. So now if these variables are changed, our variables that are outside this function will also get changed. Now we need to just change the score. Score is equals to score plus points. After this, what we need to just give egg speed is equals to int egg underscore speed, and this will be multiplied with the difficulty. So it's difficulty. Okay, so we need to update the difficulty here. It was 0.95. So our speed will be increased from the 0.95 from the previous speed according to the difficulty that we were using, and egg interval will also get affected with it, that is egg interval. So what we are trying to do is change the current value of the speed and the interval to a new value. Every time our speed gets changes by some milliseconds, like from 4000 milliseconds it changes to 3800 milliseconds, and the interval is also changing, what it will give a greater impact on our game, because our game will become faster and faster, and a time will come when a user, even if he wanted to do, he will not be able to come or go with the score. You can say he will not be able to catch the egg, because a moment will come if egg randomly fall from a corner of the screen, for example this corner, and if he is on this part, after some duration the speed of the egg will be so fast that he will exceed the speed of that egg will actually exceed the speed of the catcher, and the game will end. So we need to take care, otherwise the game will not will just be running for the infinite times. Also, if it will not get difficult, then user will not play it after some time. So we need to just continuously increase the difficulty level also, and in this way, if our speed and interval are increasing, our difficulty will increase. Score text. So here we are updating our configuration, just giving a configuration to our score. It means we are in a runtime updating our text area, that was a score, and all we need to just use the same process, that the str score. So here we are done with the everything, like increase score, we have updated the score, the speed, the intervals. Now everything is done. All we need to do is just give some commands to the user, so that user can use his keyboard to play the game. So let's do it in the next video. We are done with the 80% part of our game. Now only 20% is left. We will cover it fast. So welcome back guys. we are at the end of our project. We have added all the functionalities. Just we are left to give the command to the keyboard, our game, and just add the finishing touch of the game. So to give a command to the game, we will be using a function that is the bind. And bind functions works, but there are many other types of the bind also. We will discuss about them. First, I will define a function before using that bind function, that is move left and right. So this will be my move L, which will be defined as move left, and I will be giving an event as a parameter. So whenever something happens, it is marked as the event inside the game. So we are using an event, but this event just a simple variable. You can take any event other than this name, like egg, cake, shop, whatever you want. But I'm just defining you that what is actually an event is. Event is when you change something in the GUI window from the user side, then it is called an event. So we are extracting the coordinates for the catcher because we want to move our catcher. Now here we have taken the coordinates. Now first we need to check the condition that it may not happen that you have just pressed the right key and your catcher just goes on and it goes on, it just move outside the GUI window screen. So we need to take care that it may remain inside the window screen only. And to do that, just we need to check the limits that the x0, y0 of the parameter, let's make them as we have taken the x0 and y0. So this will remain as x, this will be as y, this will be as x1, and this will be as y1. So the x and y coordinate, that is the initial coordinate of the catcher, is not greater than the width of the screen. So we will first define the variable, that is if x1 is smaller than the canvas width. It means we can only move inside this range of the canvas only. That is move left will work for this only. So we will just give a function that is c.move and catcher, and this time our coordinate will be 20, 0. So here we are not moving in y-axis, that's why our y coordinate is 0, and we are only moving in the x-axis, so we are moving 20 right. Now you may wonder that there should be a 4 coordinates, that is x, y, and for different coordinates like moving right of the x and moving left of the x, but we are using the minus and plus sign to move to deal with it. For example, move left, we are moving towards the x-axis, that's why we are using a 20. Okay, it's move left, we are making away, we are going opposite side of the x-axis, means x-axis will increase to right hand side and we want to decrease it to left hand side, so we will make it minus 20. So we only want a movement of minus 20 in x-axis when this function move L will be called, and we don't want a change in y-axis. So it means y will remain 0 and our movement of the catcher will shift to minus 20. Again, I am telling you this, that this move function actually don't move it, but what it does, it just shift reposition our image minus 20 side. So the difference is too small that no one can notice that our image was getting repositioned or our image was scrolling or moving. Now same we need to do with the move right function. So we will define here move r and give the event as parameter. We are moving with the move function only, that is the c.move, the move function associated with the canvas, but we will using a binding to call this function, because we want a binder to actually call these functions, and to call the function there is an inbuilt function called bind, and there are two types of it, that is the master bind and bind. We will discuss about them after completing it. So this time we are checking for the left hand limit, and our x should be greater than the width of the canvas, because here we want to move right. So it was move left, it means our x1 should be the smaller than the canvas. We have done opposite, it should be move r, here move right. In move right we want that we should move 20 plus, means 20 on the right hand side direction, and now this is correct that x1 should be smaller than canvas width. So our right hand side limit of the catcher should be smaller than the right hand side limit of the x coordinate of the canvas. Now our left hand side means our x should be greater than the canvas width, because we don't want to go opposite or out of the screen, so that now this time our left hand side should be greater than the width of the canvas. Now we will be calling the same function, that is the c dot move, and here we go with the catcher variable, and this time we are moving left hand side, so I am giving again 20.0. It was just this variable, if I have made it x greater than 0, then it will work like this, and if this is x1 greater than canvas, then it will start working like this. So this if statement is actually making the deciding the direction that which side we should go, and also taking care that we are not going out of the screen. So this was we have made the function for the move right, and we have also made the function for the move left. Also, we will not take the canvas width, we can directly take the 0, because our canvas width actually starts from the 0 coordinate. So we are not worried about the taking the canvas width, because the width may be anything, but our coordinate, the left hand coordinate, will only start from the 0. Now we have made the functions. What is left to connect these functions to a key? So we use a function c dot bind, and we will be using our keyboard key, that is the left key. This is the correct way to give the left key, and we will be giving a command, that is move L. So here we are actually having two functions, we should make this move L. So now this is the move L function. It means whenever someone will press this left key, they will call a move function. Also there is another type of binding, and that is called as master bind. So what this master bind do, if you press your key, like if I have pressed the left key, then it will just get moving to the left even if I am not pressing the key. So that is for the master bind. But we don't want a continuous left and continuous right. We want to just switch between right and left, because this is a random game and we don't know that egg will only fall from the left direction or the right direction. So we are not using the master bind, but we are using just a simple bind function. So if you press it one time, it will move for one time. It will, if you press it again, it will move again. But if you want master left also and find it comfortable to play with, we can use that. So here we give the right key. Okay, just take care that left and right are in capital, because we are defining the keyboard key, and this should be in a proper syntax. Now we will pass our function, that is move R. So we need to use another function, that is c dot focus, and we need to set. So now actually this will set everything, that how we are taking the input from the user and to the other one, means taking it to towards the GUI window. Now we have defined everything. Also we have given that root after will work after every 0.01 millisecond seconds, and similarly for the different functions we have given the after keyword. But what we are left, that we have to call it once, because they should initiate it, and to initiate them we will be using a function, that is the root after outside. So the reason that we are using them root after, because we need to call them after a particular interval of time, that even if user is not creating or doing anything, he will just get the function. So after 1 second, even if you are staring at the screen, your game will start. So this is the main reason why we are writing root after instead of just calling the function. If you directly call the function, it will also work here, but we are just giving some time interval so that a user may, the one who is playing, may find it comfortable that okay, now game is going to start. So he will get 1 second to just look over the screen. 1000. And here we just need to call for the catch. Okay. So I think we need to get back to the function. Okay, our function name was catch. So yeah, we have defined our catch function here, and we have done it in the main loop. Now what is left is just to call the function. So we are going to run it. Okay, there was something missing in binding. Yeah, right key was not there. Now we have added it, we will save it and run it. So what we are going to get is a complete game. And now if I try to move my cursor, it will work. And if you have noticed that it took 1 second to start the game because we have not directly called the function, and now they are actually falling, and as soon as I collect them, their speed will increase. So now I will collect this, I will collect this. Now they are falling in a very large amount, and I think they are just we need to decrease some speed for the creation because it will be difficult for us to collect so many eggs. Now our life is 0 and we got a final score of 120. It means we have collected 12 eggs here. So we need to press OK, and as soon as we press OK, it will be get terminated. So this is we have created our game, how we have created our game, and it's working. If you want to change the speed, for example, if I will go up and change the speed of the egg speed to 5000, it will take more time, like 5 seconds to come up. But I'm not going to do that. I find it comfortable to play in this because it will get much easier. Our game is completely working. We have finished up making the game. So I hope you would have enjoyed this building your catcher game. It is the egg catcher game. It is a good game, and it gives you a complete idea that how does a game in reality works. Means how do we bind the keys, how do we create the systematic things there, how can we use canvas also, and how can we use stick enter library also. So thank you all of you for watching this video.